For decades, Carol Burnett was Hollywood's beacon of warmth, the woman who could make an entire nation laugh with a raised eyebrow or a whispered line. To millions, she was grace personified, kind, gentle, and incapable of malice. But behind that iconic smile hid a side of her that only a few ever saw, a side shaped by years of being pushed too far and betrayed too deeply. Now in her 90s, Burnett has finally opened up about the men who crossed lines she could never forgive. And among them, one betrayal cut deeper than any headline one that changed her forever. The show that built a legend and broke a bond. The Carol Burnett Show wasn't just a television show when it aired in the 1970s. It was an event. Families huddled around their living room sets every Saturday night, bringing laughter into American homes with Carol and her cast. The chemistry between her and her co-star, Harvey Korman, was undeniable, natural, easy. They turned simple sketches into comedy gold. Viewers loved them. She was the heart. He was the edge. Their timing was perfection. Off camera, they shared a deep and abiding friendship built on trust, respect, and years of creative collaboration. For over a decade, they seemed inseparable. But behind closed doors, the calm was deceptive, and a storm was brewing. By 1974, the fissures began to appear. The show was into its seventh season, pulling in record ratings and critical acclaim. CBS had just renewed it for 3 more years, and the team had won their 4th Emmy. On the surface, everything looked perfect. But inside Studio 33 at Television City, something had shifted. Harvey, once the charming, quick-witted comedian everyone loved, had begun to pull away. Costume designer Bob Mackie later revealed that Harvey had become moody and irritable. He'd get frustrated over small things, Mackie recalled. You could tell something was eating at him. Some believed it was jealousy. Carol's fame had begun to eclipse his, and though Harvey was essential to the show's success, the public saw it as her show, The Carol Burnett Show. And that hurt. He was proud, ambitious, and deeply reluctant to live in anyone's shadow, even hers. The tension simmered for months until one April afternoon when it finally boiled over. The crew was rehearsing an episode featuring British singer Petula Clark, who had flown in from London. During one of Harvey's scenes, a lighting error left half his face in shadow. Normally, he would have brushed it off. Instead, he exploded. "After all these years, can't anyone get it right?" he shouted, slamming his script to the floor. The studio fell completely silent. Even Petula Clark was frozen. Director Dave Powers tried to calm him down, but Harvey was too angry to listen. Then came the line that changed everything. "Even Carol doesn't notice." Casual, but cutting. And it hit Carol deeper than he realized. Carol got to her feet slowly, her face calm but firm. "Harvey," she said evenly, "I've had enough. If you can't respect everyone here, you don't need to be here." Silence. Heavy, pure silence. Says Bob Mackie in his memoir Even More Laughs. You could hear a microphone drop. Harvey froze, his face pale, then turned and walked off set. No one followed. Carol sat for almost half an hour, staring at his empty chair. "I didn't want it to end this way," she whispered. But he went too far. Within hours, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner was carrying the headline, "Harvey Korman leaves the Carol Burnett Show during rehearsal." Hollywood exploded. For 3 days, rumors swept through every studio corridor. Reporters speculated that Carol had finally lost her patience. She said nothing, continuing to show up to work, smiling, and doing the show. Vicki Lawrence attempted to call Harvey. He wouldn't answer. Then, on the 3rd morning, CBS got a call. It was Harvey. "I need to talk to Carol," he said, shaken. When she picked up, his voice cracked. "I was wrong. I want to come back." The next day, he returned to Studio 33. The crew watched as he apologized to everyone, then turned to Carol. "I forgot why I started," he admitted. She smiled softly and hugged him. The room erupted in applause, but everyone could feel that something had broken. The laughter they once shared so easily would never be the same. Harvey remained until 1977, when he left quietly. Years afterwards, when Carol was asked to speak about him on Entertainment Tonight, her reply was bittersweet. "Harvey made me laugh more than anyone, and gave me the biggest headaches." The incident, now known as the Studio 33 blow-up, became one of Hollywood's legendary behind-the-scenes stories. For Carol, it marked the moment she learned that even laughter has limits, and that kindness, when tested too far, can turn into steel. The husband who betrayed her trust. While Burnett handled the tension on set with aplomb, her private life was unraveling. Behind the laughter was a marriage that had once been one of Hollywood's golden romances. Her union with producer Joe Hamilton. They met in 1960 on The Gary Moore Show, where Burnett was a rising star and Hamilton was already a respected producer. 10 years her senior, he became both her partner and protector. When The Carol Burnett Show premiered in 1967, he was the architect behind the camera, guiding her at every step. For years, they were unstoppable, the perfect balance of heart and precision. But by the mid-1970s, that harmony began to crack. As the show grew more successful, Hamilton grew more controlling. He demanded final approval over guest lists and scripts, often cutting emotional scenes to focus purely on comedy. Carol pushed back. Audiences need heart as much as laughter, she insisted, a line that marked the beginning of a slow, painful divide. Then came the rumors. In August 1979, TV Guide printed a blind item hinting that a veteran producer was having an affair with a young CBS editor. No names were printed, but everyone on set knew exactly who they were talking about. Burnett stayed silent until 1982, when her lawyer uncovered something far worse. Joe Hamilton had quietly formed Hamilton Productions, registering spin-offs from The Carol Burnett Show under his own name, including Mama's Family, a concept born from her sketches. The betrayal was complete. Burnett confronted him in their CBS office. "Do you think it's fair to turn what we built together into something just yours?" she asked. His response was ice cold. "It's business, Carol, not emotion." That was the end. On March 3, 1983, she filed for divorce. The trial became one of Hollywood's ugliest asset battles, as reporters swarmed the courthouse. Through it all, Carol remained composed. When the verdict came in 1984, she kept the show's name and half the syndication profits. Joe received 40%. "We were the best team, until he forgot I was more than a partner," she later told People magazine. Her final message after the divorce was a bouquet of white flowers at his funeral in 1991, accompanied by a note that read, "I wish you peace, Joe. As for me, the night Hollywood turned cold." Hollywood loved glitz, but it also loved hierarchy. And in 1968, Cary Grant stood at the very top. That year, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Beverly Hilton, and Carol Burnett, then America's favorite TV comedian, was among the guests. After the ceremony, she approached him in a glowing red Bob Mackie gown to congratulate him. But what happened next became one of Hollywood's frostiest encounters. A director at the table jokingly asked Grant, "Have you seen Carol's show? The whole country loves it." Grant smirked and said, "Oh, that show, the one where she waves her arms, makes faces, and overacts. I don't understand why people enjoy that sort of thing." The room froze. Burnett didn't flinch. She looked at him calmly and said, "Maybe people prefer laughing with real folks rather than with perfection." Then she walked away. 2 days later, the Los Angeles Times ran the small headline, "Cary Grant and Carol Burnett, a frosty encounter." Fans were outraged. CBS issued a rare statement in defense of her. "Carol Burnett represents humor that is humane and intelligent, laughter born from empathy, not foolishness." Grant doubled down, telling Variety he preferred more refined humor, more European. Everyone knew whom he meant. The quiet feud followed them for years. When Paramount offered them a co-starring role in a 1970 musical, she declined, citing scheduling conflicts. Privately, she told friends, "I won't work with someone who looks down on women's laughter." Grant never apologized but later said in private, "Carol is such a strong woman. She made me feel uneasy." The incident became a defining moment not only for Burnett's dignity, but for her understanding of power. She didn't fight back in the press. She fought back with success. Within 3 years, she had 3 Emmys, and The Carol Burnett Show had become a cornerstone of American television. Of all the slights Burnett endured, However, the one that stung the longest came from a man she had never even worked with, Lorne Michaels, creator of Saturday Night Live. For nearly 50 years, Carol Burnett, the pioneer who opened doors for female comedians, had never been invited to host SNL. It was one of television's strangest mysteries. In 1975, SNL was just getting its start while Burnett's show was the top-rated program on CBS. Critics claimed that inviting her to host would link two eras of comedy. Michaels is rumored to have nixed that idea, saying she isn't right for the spirit of the show. According to Live from New York Back Bay Books, 2002, one editor remembered Michaels referring to her as the face of old television. In 1981, The Washington Post said that Burnett had stated publicly that she wanted to host, but NBC never asked. Fans revolted. Hundreds wrote in to protest the seeming snub. NBC answered with a mere form letter. Hosts are picked according to show content every season. Insiders say she was quietly hurt, though she never spoke a harsh word. On a 1980s appearance on Larry King Live, she smiled faintly and said, "Maybe I'm just not edgy enough for them." Years went by. Then, in 2023, NBC celebrated her with Carol Burnett, 90 years of laughter and love. Asked if she ever regretted never hosting SNL, she replied, "I guess they didn't need me, but I didn't need them either." That one line, after 50 years of silence, set the internet ablaze. Thousands of fans flooded the internet with hashtag #InviteCarol to SNL, demanding NBC make things right. Burnett's message was clear. Kindness is power, and silence can be louder than revenge. By the 2000s, a new generation of comedy had taken over. Louder, edgier, often meaner. Among them was Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy. In 2006, one episode featured a parody of Burnett's beloved charwoman character. But instead of honoring her, the scene mocked her in a suggestive setting. For Burnett, then 73, it felt like a slap in the face. On April 16, 2007, she filed a $2 million lawsuit against 20th Century Fox and MacFarlane for unauthorized use of her likeness and damage to her reputation. "I'm not suing for money," she said in a video statement. "I just want people to remember that some characters belong to the hearts of the audience." The case drew national attention. Critics argued over whether parody had crossed into disrespect. In July 2007, the court dismissed the lawsuit under fair use, but Burnett still won in a different way. Public opinion overwhelmingly sided with her. Entertainment Weekly later wrote, "She didn't win in court. She won in history." Years later, at CBS's 70th anniversary gala, Burnett and MacFarlane sat in the same row. When the cameras panned across the audience, MacFarlane nodded politely. Carol didn't respond with a nod. She simply smiled and clapped to the rhythm of the music. For her, that was closure, quiet, dignified, and absolute. Carol Burnett's is a story of laughter, loyalty, and lessons learned the hard way. She faced betrayal, disrespect, and arrogance in return, yet never lost her aplomb. In the end, her silence did speak louder than any kind of feud. So, while some of you would say that it is quite an insult, others will say that the mockery would be worse. Which one do you think hurt her most? Leave your comments in the comments section below. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more untold Hollywood stories.